Upendra. This is the Global Digest think tank group. You are our guest today. So where are you right now, and what is your specialized area?
Myself, I'm Upendra Raj Dulal. I'm an advocate and I'm based in Nepal. I've done my master's in international law from Wuhan University, China. And currently I'm based in Nepal and practicing law here. And I do teach at the university as well. And I do teach international trade law. And my major was obviously international law. And I'm practicing in this area. I mean, in this region in Nepal.
I see.
I do look after international investment related issues. So I probably say I do help investors, and after that you can call him a businessman or whatever. But I would love to call investors from my perspective.
I see. So, it's very important, international business and international law. And, usually developed country and developing country, there's a big gap. Their perspective and the way they are doing business and the way they are imposing legal system. How did you find out the difference? They have to pay a lot of price for technology. That's example, but you know more different issues. So, what did you find those differences in your finding?
Uh, Obviously, when it comes about the developing and the developed countries, in terms of the investment, let's say, in terms of the utilization of resources, and there is a gap already within these countries. And definitely when the developed countries, they come for the investment, or let's say they come for the utilization resources and all, then like something like we call like MNCs. We all know that MNCs, like whenever the MNCs they come to the developing countries, definitely they will put some kind of impact on the economy, the policies, you know, and sometimes even the laws also, so from that perspective also, if we see, uh, definitely the companies from the developed countries, they do give some kind of pressure, or let's say they do put some kind of impact over the uh, uh, policies, and of course with the market as well. I mean, when we come to the market, definitely, as you said, the price, the variations, it will definitely come uh, into a kind of differences, right? So the market, the goods which were not found yesterday, now they can be found easily today because of the role of such companies, right? So whenever these companies comes to the domestic market, definitely they will put some kind of impact, and because of their impact, the prices will either will go up or will go down, because it depends on how strong the domestic industry is, right? So if the domestic industry is already stronger, let's say, then they have to compete with the domestic industry, and they definitely have to lower the prices of the product. But if you don't have the strong domestic industry, or let's say you don't have domestic industries, right? Then what happens is these the so-called strong economic companies, they definitely put some kind of impact, and they some definitely bring some kind of changes to in the market regarding the prices and other factors, right? So based on my experience, like I'm not talking, I'm not disclose some, the client name and all, but what I will say is, like, there was a product, because as a lawyer I have to maintain some kind of privacy and all. So uh, there was a product, which was earlier it was the price of that product was something around 70 by 70 paisa, 70 cent, let's say. And there was a domestic industry which entered into the market, and the price automatically dropped, right? Because of their presence in the market. So the price came something around 30, 30 cent. Okay, so earlier it was 70. Now the price has dropped to the 30 because of the because of the domestic industry which recently entered into that market. Now what these international companies did was, they slightly dropped their price, from 70 to something around, let's say 25 cent or 20 cents. Now there comes a margin, right? Difference margin, because this competition has helped to drop the market price, because there was a now there is a strong domestic industry. Earlier there was no industry. I mean, there was not even a single industry, and the price was already high. I mean, the price was already in on top. So this always happened, how is the market going, and who are the competitors, and if they have competitors or no competitors, this kind of things always gives put some kind of, let's say it gives some kind of indication whether the price will go up, or there will be any changes in the prices or not. I think these are the factors, which I have gone through, and these are the factors that are responsible for the price differences in the market. I think so.
I see.
That was my observation.
Right, right. In unfair business, we can say, or unfair trade, unfair um, many like copyright or any like medical cases, they want to sell in developed country very high price cancer medicine or HIV or anything, they sell, but that cannot afford by developing country, poor countries. That they are knowingly, because they develop technology, but they over pricing, those poor country could not able to afford it. So if they want to be social justice, they should consider developing country, poor country, how much they can affordable. The price should be they should be low down, but they intentionally they put very high price, and they impose like copyright or many rights, something like that. So many countries are risky even to reproduce those medicines or something like that. Similar to many other technology.
There was not much cases I have gone through the whatever scenario you have just given, but earlier, as I told you, there was a company who just hiked the price of a product, which I was expressing earlier. Also, that was my first my own experience, where the company, I mean, let's say the company from a developed country, they try to hike the price at their own interest, and they try to, what they try to do is, they try to have, let's say, harm the domestic industry. I mean, let's say, the price I was telling you earlier, say 70 cent, to they're coming to 20 cent, or let's say 25 cent. What they were trying to do was, they were trying to put the price down so that the domestic industry will suffer a lot, and they will shut down. And what they could do is, they could immediately, they could change the prices. I mean, they will be the sole business person in the market, and they will do, I mean, they will start doing some kind of monopoly again, in the market. That was their plan. It was quite clear enough. So that was my first case, which I went through, where the internationally, not internationally, but the international company, who was quite strong from economic and other perspective, was trying to come to the market and hamper the domestic industry and change the price variation. And also, this is what that was my first live experience, which I said earlier also, and that was my first experience. And except that, I haven't gone through all the cases where the company or I mean the international company or business person who are trying to, directly make any kind of differences or changes in the price or market. I haven't gone through the other cases so far.
See, so
Because this is also because this is also because since I told you I look after the investment related issues here. So what I am mostly concerned is I mean my concern was is morely on help the investors to set up their business here in Nepal, to bring the foreign investments and help them to establish their own industry corporations and something like that. So I'm more focused on those issues in Nepal.
right, so that's the thing.
What I believe is, uh, let's say MNCs, right? MNCs, they always try to enter the market, every market, let's say, like, and their nature. Let's whenever we talk about their nature and all, their headquarters, they try to set up in a developed always, right? And they want to perform. Let's say they try to work in the developing countries, right? So what they will do is they will make the products over here, manufacture the products here, and they want to sell it to the developed countries, and they want to all profit, right? So some MNCs, they are working in that ways, right? And the some MNCs, let's say MNCs, or let's say some other companies, they are focused on some specific developed countries, right? So developing countries, and they want to enter the developing countries market, and they want to capture the market, and they want to either hike the price or harm the domestic industries. So this is how they are always work so that they could earn more, more and more profits. So I think this is, and I don't see it as a challenge, like where, because this is the widely accepted or widely defined things. Like whenever someone defines about MNCs and all, then they always have this kind of perspective. I think so. So this this is not a challenge, I guess.
uh, Developed country invented and they impose copyright and they put very high price. It can be appropriate in developed country because rich people, they can buy it and they can follow copyright. But they know it's not possible in poor country, developing countries. So why they did not special judgment or why they did not consider for poor country. It's not good for poor countries.
Right. Uh, since I'm a lawyer and I'm an investment lawyer, I would say I'm not much into it, but whatever I have knowledge on this is, whenever they'll invent something, they'll give a patent right to it, right? And after that, it is up to them whether to whether to and for medicine, they'll categorize the medicine. One is specific, the other one is generic medicines. So generic medicines are usually available everywhere and cheap, right? So coming to the specific medicine, then it is quite completely different than the generic medicines. So maybe, like whenever they'll invent something, let's say, as you said, if it is about HIV or something like that, then they'll see some kind of profit over here, because this is the medicine, that is sellable all over the world. And they'll see the market, like where which area, I mean, like, let's say, the developing or least developed countries, they're having more patients, and they need some more medicines and all, and in that way, categorizing it into a specific medicines, they will always have the opportunity to gain some more profit. And I think that this is a open secret, I guess. because this is being happening all around the world, not only with the medicine, let's say on the HIV medicine, but also with the cancer medicines or some other medicines as well. And we, the people from developing countries, we always believe that when the such medicines will be easily available for people like us, because these specific medicines are always expensive one, and we are always in need. I mean, we always want to have those medicines, and I mean those medicine in cheaper price, because as you also said, the developing countries, the people from developing countries, they are not much economically capable to purchase such medicine. Not only the public, but also the government as well. The government are also not in that position to purchase such specific medicines, right? So this is how world is running, I think, I guess. And uh, this is our demand. I mean, the people from developing countries, or let's say the government of developing countries, government, this is their demand, to have more and more such basic medicines in their country, so that they could save more lives, right? And this struggle is a never ending struggle, because let's say, imagine, let's say I got to invent the HIV medicines, and I'll be investing more time, and money, right? So what I will want is, I will try to have the patent right over it, and I'll try to get, I'll try to get something in return, whatever I have put in, before, getting that product in the market. So this is how the world is going, so world is going, and this is what's being happening around the world, I think so. And that's the reason also we are not getting specific medicine in cheaper prices, cheaper price. But let's see, if there are some kind-hearted people, kind-hearted country, and if they could they could, convert such specific medicines into generic medicines. And if such medicines is converted into generic medicines, then we, developing countries will get those medicines in cheaper price, I
Right,
think so.
right. I mean, we did not saying they should not make a profit, they are doing business, so they will do profit definitely. But uh, over profiting, that's also the reason nowadays more and more the gap between 1% and 99%, very super rich and poor, because they are doing over profit. So that's the thing, and they have also legal system in developed country, rich country. They impose strongly like OPY or many rights, strongly restricted financial laws, something like that, very restrictions they impose there. So uh, as you also said, we are developing country. Poor country should be clever, and poor country and uh, the government, their government should be clever, and they have to also develop their own law, probably domestic law. They cannot say anything, We have also law. We will not only duty to follow your law, We have our law. You have to also follow our law, because here are also people, they are also people, They are also struggling for survival, but they are not just struggling, they are more about making profits, because developed country will want for profit, but the developing country will want for the sake of people. So legal conflict in international area in terms of business law.
We don't exactly see conflict, between this domestic or international business law, but there are no major differences at all. So there could be some minor differences, maybe in terms of production, and maybe in terms of guaranteeing their rights. As you pointed that India is having medicine, I mean, producing medicines in cheaper prices and all. I think that is the policy of the every government. I mean, whatever I mean, the developing countries, like, let's say, talking about Nepal, the government of Nepal, being whenever it tries to become a social, whenever it tries to work for the social welfare and all. So what it can do is, like, it has all the potential to produce medicines and all. Then it can purchase the patent rights of the specific medicines, and then it can convert those specific medicines right into the generic medicines, right? So whenever you have the generic medicines right, then you can produce those medicines in a cheaper price. I think this is what the India is doing. I mean, India is getting the specific rights, and I'm purchasing the specific rights, and and they're converting these specific rights into the generic rights. So, whenever they get these generic rights and all, then they can produce those medicine in the cheaper prices for the public. Because India, I mean, even India, like, let's say Nepal or some other developing countries, whichever developing countries, right? So if it has the potential, if it can invest, or if it has, let's say, resources to produce generic medicine at large scale in cheaper price for its people, then they can do it. And no business law of any developed countries restrict developing country from producing such kind of generic medicine in their home country. So I don't see any conflict in between these international or domestic business laws. It's about the patent right. Who has the patent right? So the people from developing countries, they can also have the patent rights over the medicines, right? So if, let's say, I'm from Nepal, I produce let's say the HIV medicines, right? And I claimed my patent right all over the world. Then what then then I can, if I feel like I'm not giving generic rights to anyone, I'll, because I have invested a lot of money, I don't want to give it to anyone else, right? So what then, in that case, the medicine's price will become higher, right? And I'm from the developing country, the price of medicine becomes the higher. Let's say I now, I feel like, okay, this medicine should be used by everyone else. Everybody should get easy cure and all. And I sold my patent rights. Like, I mean, like, I gave my patent rights to anyone else, like whoever can produce generic medicines. Then in that case, the countries, let's say the countries or the companies, they can produce the generic medicines, and those such generically produced medicine will have a cheaper price. So it's about whether people or the country, they want to hand over the patent rights, or that for the specific medicines or not. So it is about them.
Course, I mean, there is patent, the inventor want to hold patent right also. This service also legal system. So if he impose his patent right all the time, with neglecting the society or environment, that will be something to say. He might he shouldn't hold patent right based on the society, based on the environment, the whole world, including poor and rich. But if he did not see those surroundings, his even though he say his own patent right, but it might not be. I mean, in terms of social justice, it might not. He may not have no justice. I mean, no justice. So in that case, even though you have patent right, but your action will happen bad thing. That your right may not be also always uh, true or justice. You have to give up sometimes, isn't it?
Let's see. Whenever we talk, we come to social justice and larger um, happiness. Then whatever you have said is correct, right? Because okay, whatever we invent, whatever we do, it is for the mankind, right? So it should be given to all the everyone should have the right to get cure on time. I mean the medicines and all they all have the right to get they all have the right to have the right medicines on time. So looking from the larger larger maximization of let's say in terms of social justice. Yes, that is correct. But when it comes to business, they don't think from that perspective. So this is being happening. This is being happening around the world. This is going around the world. This thing is going around the world, and let's see if everyone starts thinking from that perspective, from social justice perspective, and if they start believing that whatever they will put in investment to produce something, right? They starts giving to the people in very cheap price. Uh, then the world will become different. But I think I think from business perspective view, if there is no reward, then people stop producing goods. I mean they'll stop inventing goods, I think so. Because if I'm not getting something in return, then I'll become lazy. I'll stop inventing things, right? So for that perspective also, I mean, for the motive, let's say, to people who really can invent, if they will not get something in return, uh, then they'll stop inventing things. Because I'll be putting a lot of money to invent a medicine, but I'm not getting something in return. Let's say there's no money at all, right?
No
Then
progress.
whatever I will be having, then I'll spend everything for that invention, right? So if I have to invent something else again, then I'll have nothing in my hand. So in that way the invention process may get stopped as well. So yes, what we can do is like we can keep something for the inventor. Because we have to motivate them to invent. Because if you'll invent something, you will get something in return. I mean whatever the investment you have done, you will
Sure.
get back to you, right? But don't, as you said, let's not overprice the product. If we will be overpricing it, then who will suffer is the people from the developing countries who actually cannot afford to purchase such medicines. So
Right. Yeah.
let's say maybe if you go in that midway, if you take that midway course, then I think it will
It
work
should
out.
be
But
it should be adjustable. There should not be ultimate absolute law. There should not be absolute legal system, which means it should be adjustable for mankind, for social justice, for human rights. Without that, what is the meaning of a human being? It is not
Mhm.
always inventions. I mean, invention is good, but without human being purpose for society, what is the meaning? That is not nothing. uh, we have to
Understood, understood.
we have to.
That
There is nothing to invent for without human being.
So that's why I was telling you the midpoint. The inventor also shall get something in return. Let's say if I work for someone else, then I need to get paid, right?
Sure,
So
sure.
if I'm working for the whole mankind, let's say, I mean, if I'm inventing something for the whole mankind, I need to get something in return, so that I could invent something else for these mankinds again. So I think we don't need to overprice the product, but we can
Sure.
have some price, just like for generic medicines. Because at least the inventors shall also get something in return, so that he could be motivated again to reinvent something else for the whole mankind. This is
Right.
from my side.
right. I mean, it is acceptable. Also, not just medicine, other technology,
Yeah.
computer,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
smartphone, or any vehicle, anything, But many rich
Yes.
people, they are doing overpricing, high pricing, and it's become big gap. Rich are super rich and poor are super poor. That is the consequences, I think.